Good morning. It's the beginning of a new week, and of course, it's Monday. You're welcome to Nigeria Now, showing on your digital first Pan African news network, TOS Television. My name is Merciful Hajinamo. Of course, there are some stories making the headlines on Nigerian dailies for this morning, and analyzing the stories and having the house, Adebayo Fajime. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll begin from, of course, the Blueprint newspaper. And the big story says, with 11 months to 2023 polls, APC will clear cloudy atmosphere to victory. And this is Adamu saying so. Of course, it's on page 6. We have three riders. The first says, I've never captained a failed ship. The second one says, promises party will move against anything that can cause failure. And there is no way we can stop the electoral process because of security challenges. And this comes on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. It's not up to a week that Adamu assumed position of national chairman, and he's already sounding very, very sure. What do you make of his statement?
Oh, well, of course, as the new national chairman of the party, he wants to do everything possible to assure his party members of his capacity and his ability to lead the party to victory come 2023. But the aspect that we need to look at, because as the case it is now, is going to be a very titanic tax for them, like I said last week, because firstly there is faction in the party. If you look at most of the APC states, Osun, Kano, Rivers states, all especially in what's it called, Kwara, so in virtually almost all the states, you have factions. So now, how do you ensure that you bring everybody together? You need to look at that. You also need to look at the promises the party made since 2015 and also 2019. They promised security of lives and property, economy, and you can see lapses in all these areas. So for him to be able to, for him telling us that, well, of course, I want to believe that it's going to be making move and it's going to ensure that the party is being sold, to Nigerians for them to be able to, cast their ballot for the party again. But to be sincere and to be honest, it's going to be a very tough job for APC to come back to power.
Talking about the most important thing, which is securing lives and property, like the writer says, he says, there is no way we can stop the electoral process because of security challenges. We know what has been happening in Nigeria, especially in Kaduna, which is thought to have been the primary defense headquarters of the country, and the rate of violence that has happened and rocked that state for a couple of days and weeks now. We do know that religious clerics have also voiced out, talking about the assurance of the elections come 2023, whether it is going to happen, talking about security challenges. And I know one Islamic cleric spoke about it, and still on the newspapers this morning, we see the General Overseer of Redeemed Christian Church of God. He says on the Nation newspaper, I won't endorse any presidential candidate. The writer says, defense vote, cleric urges Nigerians, insecurity worrisome. So, talking about this assurance of the national chairman of APC and the election that's going to happen next year, what do you think is going to play out?
Well, I think when it comes to election, our leaders, political leaders, tend to be serious, tend to be proactive, tend to do everything possible, because they know being in political office is like a national boutique. That everybody comes there, you just have your share, because they know what they are going to benefit from it. Not necessarily to ensure that the nation is at peace, not necessarily for the lives or for the betterment of an average Nigerian, those who cannot even smell power. So when it comes to election and all of that, Nigerian political leaders know how to maneuver, and they know how to ensure that electoral processes go the way it should go, even though it may not be that smooth, but at least, from what we have seen several times, that is the way they used to do. So, but I think apart from that, they need to really, really ensure that, the nation is at peace.
All right, I totally agree with you on that one. Talking about security of lives and property, of course, we have other stories on the Blueprint newspaper, and besides the pictures of the day, we see Second Niger Bridge. Federal government releases 157 billion naira, says project ready August. And then we see Dangote Fertilizer to train over 1 million farmers in 3 years. From the very top, train attacked 170 passengers safe, 21 still missing, 7 coaches recovered. That's coming from the NRC. 25 KB captives held after 10 million ransom. And ACF tells federal government wage total war against terrorists. That's on the Blueprint newspaper. We move over to the Nation newspaper. Other writers stories from the front page right there. PDP governors twisted fact on Buhari's government, says presidency. That's on page 3. And then besides that, diesel crisis may shut down economy, say Man Nasima. And on page 26, 400 houses in resettlement cities near completion. And Bola Ige murder, Omishore replies Professor Shoyinka. That's on page 6. What's your take on this issue? Talking about Bola Ige murder and the conversation between Omishore and Professor Wole Shoyinka.
Yeah, I think what made Professor Wole Soyinka to make the statement he made over the weekend is there is a proverb in Yoruba that says the witch died yesterday, so the witch cried yesterday, the child died today. Who did not know that it was the witch that killed the child? So now, if you look at the circumstances that surrounded the demise of Chief Bola Ige. There are prime suspects, and Senator Yola Misore, happens to, according to what we had and what we read. But come to think of it, he has not been convicted by the court of law, so we cannot say he is the man. But Professor Wole Soyinka, raise it again and say okay. But either ways, this tells us that over 10 years now, for a long time that the man has died, you can see that justice is still yet to be served to those who are involved. We are yet to identify those
people,
who
the culprits,
yes, who murdered this head. So, and that tells you the cause of justice in our nation, and it is very, very bad.
Totally, I agree with you on that one. We do hope that something is done about that as soon as possible. And the big story is ACF to federal government wage total war on terrorist bandit. Of course, as forum opposes use of mercenaries, and gunmen intensify killings, arson in Anambra, Imo State, and that's on the Nation newspaper. And then we move over to, of course, the Nigerian News Direct, and the big story is tariff hike, multi-choice dares federal government, tribunal's judgment, Senate. The writer says begins implementation of 15% price hike on DSTV Go TV subscriptions. That's on page 2. It was on this show that you made mention of the fact that this calls for the fact that federal government is looking into the matter, calls for some sort of comfort for Nigerians looking at the price of the hike in price of subscription, and we're hoping that all of this is sorted out. But now we're saying that they are fighting back. What's your take on it?
Yeah, the problem we have as a nation is that especially in the monopolistic sector, there is no regulation, and we have consumer protection laws. But the question is, are these laws being enforced? That is a big question, and we are not really doing that. So anybody who is in the sector can just come up and do anything. And in this sector, it's not about government. Government do not necessarily need to fix price or prices, for the players. But it is their responsibility to ensure that there is a regulation, so that there won't be unnecessary burden on the consumers, and the citizens. And this is what I am expecting our leaders in government to do regarding this matter. And I think this really need to stop, and everybody enjoys whatever service, and they enjoy whatever service they are paying for from these people.
Yes, and I do know that you spoke about the fact that it would be good if we worked with the pay-as-you-go option.
Yes, that would
what
really,
you consume
really
is
be
what
good.
you pay for.
Yes.
Let's hope that all of this is being cleared. From the very top of that, Nigerian News Direct paper is Dangote Fertilizer to train over 1 million farmers in 3 years, and NDLEA seizes 5 billion naira worth of tramadol in 3 states. Of course, we have other newspapers this morning on the Daily Trust. The big story is how NRC ignored warnings and planned attack on Abuja, Kaduna, train. And then on the leadership newspaper, rising insecurity, the big story is hiring mercenaries not an option, our troops are capable. That was coming from CSOs. On the Daily Times, of course, it's still insecurity, Buhari government overwhelmed. That was coming from the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo. Laments that Nigerians traveling no longer safe on the road, in the train, and at the airport. On the Punch newspaper, the big story is PDP backs Obasanjo, Adeboye's fears over killings, 2023 election. Don't forget you can stay updated on our website www.tostvnetwork.com, and our social media handle is at TOSTV Network on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you so much, Adeboye, for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And thank you, viewers. Don't forget it's a new week, so you have to start something and make sure that all of this week is profitable for you and for us. Please join us tomorrow again. I remain merciful, Ajin. Bye for now and stay safe.